Parliament's ad hoc committee probing alleged infiltration in South Africa's justice system has wrapped up its work for the week at the Kgoshi Mampuru Correctional Centre. This week, the committee heard from alleged crime boss Vusimuzi Cat Matlala, who has been cited as the driving force behind the disbanding of the political killings task team. Matlala is denying any involvement in the kidnapping of businessman Jerry Boshoga, who's now been missing for over a year. But let's talk about the work of the committee this week at the Correctional Centre and the testimony given by someone who is said to be a key member of the Big Five corruption cartel. ANC Chief Whip Mdumiseni Ntuli joins me now. Mdumiseni, good morning. Thanks for your time. I know it's been a busy, long week, and I'd like your overall impressions of how you thought Vusimuzi Cat Matlala did and whether you believe that he's been playing open cards and telling you everything.
Well, good morning, Iman, and good morning to the viewers. Well, it has been a very hectic week for us in Kgoshi Mampuru prison this week because, as you know, that we started by listening to the Chief Financial Officer of the South African Police Service, Lieutenant General Timpane, for one day, and we spent the other 2 days listening to Mr. Cat Matlala, Vusimuzi Matlala. It will be very difficult to come to the conclusion at this point in time that he is a witness and the submissions that he made to us should be taken as they were presented. Because as you know, he also made damning allegations against some of the witnesses that appeared before us, especially the former Minister of Police, Mr. Bheki Cele. And it's quite clear that the committee might be interested on the response that must be provided by Mr. Cele, given the fact that he met with the committee and he never mentioned some of the things that we were told about yesterday. Fortunately, Lieutenant General Ntuli is expected to come back before we conclude our work, given the fact that he is the primary witness, the first person we met, and certainly the implication, the way in which he was implicated yesterday, he will have an opportunity to clarify himself, which we're interested to know, so that we can ultimately come to the bottom of the issues and understand the actuality of what had happened.
Just to go to Bheki Cele, I mean, we heard about the Woolies bags and we heard about the 500K and where and when these things were handed over and the anatomy of that relationship between Vusimuzi Cat Matlala and Bheki Cele, according to Mr. Matlala. Are you saying that you have asked, or will you ask Bheki Cele to come back and respond? Is he going to respond in writing? What's the modalities with regard to that?
We haven't as yet made that decision, but my own suspicion is that it's inevitable that we're going to ask him for the response, because you can't come before a parliamentary committee and tell us half-truth or something that is questionable and challenged in a way in which we experienced when we're interacting with Mr. Matlala over the past 2 days. Whether we invite him to come back in person or he makes a written submission, the committee is yet to make a determination to that. But the allegations are quite damning. And given the fact that Matlala has been fingered, Mr. Matlala has been fingered as one of the central kingpin or pillars in the corruption that is taking place and criminality within and outside SARS, you can't leave those allegations unverified. And so it's my considered view that Mr. Cele should be required by the committee to make some comments, whether in writing or in person, about these allegations leveled against him.
I want to go back, Mdumiseni, to your impressions of him. And look, I hear what you're saying. The evidence has got to be tested. People have got to come back in and they've got to respond. And Nhlanhla is coming, as you say. He's already been booked to do that. You're going to hear from Bheki Cele. I wanted your impressions because on this last point that you mentioned, about the Big Five, he is denying that. And I wanted your sense of whether he is telling the committee honestly what happened or whether he might be trying to save himself.
You see, Iman, my general impression is that anyone who's facing a difficulty naturally will tend to act in a way that seeks to defend themselves or to project themselves as having been innocent and not having committed any wrongdoing or any crime for that matter. If you recall yesterday, I was one of the last members of parliament to raise questions with Mr. Matlala, and I drew a scenario for him to respond to. And I can tell you that I was not very convinced with his response on that, because there were something that I defined as strange coincidences where certain things have happened in a way that would otherwise not be common. And I asked him to comment on that, given the fact that he wanted us to trust him. He wanted us as South Africans to believe that he's a credible man, an honest business person who happens to be caught up in what he told us is a Zulu war. But my difficulty with his responses and the coincidences that I brought to his attention left a lot to be desired. But I would not want to say that on the basis of his inability effectively to respond to the questions I posed to him, therefore he cannot be regarded as a credible witness. Yeah. I think the committee is going to have to make a determination, but there are certain observations that we made which we certainly believe that have raised more questions than answers about his credibility. Just for an example, he had a friend, Jerry Boshoga. He knew that his friend is involved in drug dealing, narcotics and all of that. And I asked him a question: how do genuine friends work with one another? How do you allow your friend to engage in activities that may endanger his life and the lives of his family, which has ultimately happened with Jerry Boshoga? And he said, well, I can't advise my friend to stop doing what is wrong, even if I know it's wrong. Yeah. So I said, well, why do you keep a company like that? Because it's not compulsory to be a friend of somebody else. It must be because you share certain values. It must be because you work for a particular cause for which both of you believe is worth being pursued. Right. And his answers were not convincing. So those are some of the examples I can give you to illustrate my concern about some of the credibility of some of the things that he presented before us.
Yeah, and one of the things he did say in response to those questions was that he doesn't want to be judgmental. But coming back to the issue of verification, as you said, I mean, he was telling the committee, and this is also something you asked a question about to clarify, that he had spent large sums on ANC-related events, accommodation, flight tickets, entertainment, at this year's January the 8th celebrations, allegedly to support the political ambitions of Senzo Mchunu, who's now on special leave. Does the ANC, I mean, what is the ANC internally doing about these allegations, which, you know, do risk the reputation of the party? I mean, how do you get to the bottom of this from a verification standpoint as a party?
Iman, you recall that when these allegations surfaced, the Secretary General of the ANC intervened publicly because it was important to verify the veracity of these allegations. Firstly, to understand whether or not this Brown Mohoti is essentially a member of the ANC. And the SG intervened to conduct that verification, engaging with the ANC leadership of the Northwest Province, where he's said to be coming from. And yesterday, it was quite clear to me, and I believe to many South Africans, that Mr. Matlala actually never funded the African National Congress. There's no evidence to that. He himself conceded to the fact that, no, he was not funding the ANC. He had no interaction with the Treasurer General. The funds that he provided were given to this man that is later regarded as an extortionist, Mr. Brown Mohoti, who was collecting money, purporting to be doing something on behalf of Comrade Senzo Mchunu. So it was quite clear yesterday. I mean, he himself confessed that he had no business with Mr. Mchunu. He has never met him. He has never given him any money. He acted on the basis that he thought Mohoti was working in the office of the minister. And when he discovered later that this Mohoti was just a chance taker, that's when he decided that he's no longer going to continue to give money. So he had no impression whatsoever that the money he gave to Mr. Brown were intended to support the ANC. And we had to clarify that issue because the ANC is a big organization, it's supported by many South Africans. When it has an event and one of the South Africans are deciding, I'm going to go and attend the event and I'll go and ask somebody to sponsor my trip, that has got nothing to do with the ANC. The ANC will not know how each one of us have attended its own event, except that we are in attendance as part of the crowd to listen to the message of the African National Congress. So there are no basis whatsoever to justify that. And even Mr. Matlala himself, he confessed that no, he was not aware that he's supporting the ANC or anything that has got to do with what is called presidential ambition of Mr. Ntuli. So I think on that issue are quite clear, all of us, that here we are dealing with Mr. Brown Mokhotsi, who had his own intention. Mr. Mokhotsi might have a dream that one day Mr. Senzo Mkhunu must be a president of the ANC, but that is not shared between the three of them, at least between Mr. Mkhunu as well as Cat Matlala. That was not the issue that they were all conscious about.
The DA's Glynis Breitenbach brought up these 12 incidents where he had run-ins with police. I mean, this is over the last 25 years. A guy who's had, different run-ins with the law, stretching back to 2000, a motor vehicle theft, all of that ranging to burglaries, ranging to cash-in transit heist, ranging to vehicle theft. The majority of these cases, Mr. Ntuli, had been withdrawn. I think there was just one conviction, and that conviction was for a burglary that happened in Tshwane about 24 years ago. The rest, the other cash-in transit one, he was acquitted, and the rest of those cases, some as late as 2018, there was a attempted murder charge there that was withdrawn. What did that tell you? I know that there was some coming back on that particular point as to the curiosity around how one man can have so many charges either withdrawn or the cases go away. What were your impressions of that?
Well, Iman, he's certainly a man that has been in conflict with the law for many times, for many years, and very dynamic, very skillful to escape whatever allegations leveled against him, except one. And that is why we are very concerned about his close relationship with some of the generals and in the police service. I mean, he made a very strange comment that there is a brigadier, or if not a colonel, I can't remember very well, Nkosi, who's somehow a friend of him, but to the extent that he can send him with his card to go and buy something for their own motorbike or something like that. So it's clearly somebody who's highly connected in the police service. I know that when we met with some of the generals, they said for instance, Lieutenant General Spear, they declined that they were having any proximity to this man. But he told us yesterday that he met with some of them on several occasions. He has attended activities relating to their own families. He is highly connected with the police. And there's no surprise, I think, now, having listened to him, it's not surprising that while he has had so much running with the courts and the law, but he has succeeded to escape conviction, except, of course, one. So it's quite clear that he's a highly connected person. I mean, look at the decision that he has taken to hire 8, if not 9, of his personal bodyguards from the South African Defence Force Task Force.
Yeah.
That's the highest level of training that the soldiers acquire to defend our country, but he goes and recruits there. It's clear that we are not dealing with an ordinary chap on the street. It's a man that is highly connected, who knows his whereabouts, and who has a mission of whatever kind that he wants to achieve.
All right. ANC Chief Whip Mdumiseni Ntuli, thank you for your time this morning. Appreciate it. We'll continue to watch the story when those proceedings resume in terms of the work of the ad hoc committee.